Dale Earnhardt Jr. has been a significant figure in the NASCAR world for many years. Recently, he has sparked a lot of curiosity about his future in the sport. On his podcast, The Dale Jr. Download, Dale Earnhardt Jr. discussed the idea of retiring from the NASCAR Xfinity series. He said he might be done with racing, but left things unclear. He likes the feeling of not knowing for sure what will happen next. This uncertainty has made fans wonder if they'll see him race again. At one point, Dale mentioned that the Xfinity race at Bristol could be his last. He hinted that it might be time to stop racing in the Xfinity series. He said that he often talked about the end of his racing career, but didn't make any final decision. Even though he seemed unsure about racing again, he still left the door open for a possible return. He said that if he feels like racing again, he might come back.
I'm not going to say, so everybody was like, is this your last one? I'm like, I don't have any plans. I like it that way. If I want to run one, I will. If I don't, I won't. Right now, there's nothing on the schedule for next year. But I know, knowing me, I'm probably going to go, man, I missed running. When 25's over with, actually, when I'm done broadcasting and NBC finishes out the year, I'll probably be sitting there going, I should have ran a race. I should have ran one of these. And then I'll probably go to Kelly and LW and say, hey, let's find one for 2026. And I'll get nervous all over again.
For Dale Jr., racing at certain tracks has always been special. Tracks like Bristol have been a significant part of his career. When he was younger, tracks like these were more than just places to race. They were like amusement parks for him. When Dale gets ready to race today, things are a bit different. He's not a full-time driver anymore. He turned 50 in October, and now his life involves more than just racing. He and his wife have made a point to travel more, taking advantage of his reduced race schedule. They've been enjoying their time together, traveling to places they've always wanted to visit. But even though he's not at the track as much as he used to be, Dale still looks forward to the races he participates in. Racing at Bristol, for example, is still something he looks forward to, even if he's only competing once or twice a year.
Amy and I sit down at the start of the year, and I'm like, we put the schedule in front of us, and I go, Amy, I want to run this many late model stock races, and here's a bunch of races that are interesting to me, and we'll look at what the family's got going on, what my work schedule is. I got everything else as a priority. Racing, driving a race car, while I love it, is way down on the list. It is. There's so many other things now in my life that insist on being prioritized above that, and must be. And so we take racing and try to fit it into the puzzle that's built.
In a recent race at Bristol, Dale Earnhardt Jr. had a great performance. He finished in 7th place, which was impressive given the problems he faced. His radio wasn't working properly, and he didn't have his glasses. He also had to switch helmets during the race. Despite all these challenges, he still managed to do well.
Probably the radio issues. We had a radio harness or something went out under the pace laps and didn't have a radio for about 50 laps. Swapped out the earplugs, still didn't work. Swapped out the helmet, still didn't work. So probably ran about 100, 120 laps without really much communication with TJ. And finally they stuck a radio with a short harness in it and a button I could clip to my chest. And I could hear them and talk back under caution. But it worked out, and we didn't lose any lap or anything, so just as frustrating as that is, it was important not to give up and lose a lap or anything, and try to salvage what we could, because we had a top 10, top 5 car, and I'm glad we were able to get a good result.
After this race, he started to rethink his earlier thoughts about retiring. He said he wasn't sure if the Bristol race was his last Xfinity race. He has no plans right now, but he enjoys having that freedom. He said that once he's done with his broadcasting work for NBC, he might feel like he wants to race again.
Thing is like I've been doing this with Hellman's and Unilever, great partner. Been doing this, well, I'll run one race and they'll do about 6 or 8 races on the 7. Next year they said, hey, we're going to do the races, don't need you to run. I said, man, I just might set out intentionally. I got to work on my broadcasting, new partners and all that, so I want to be great. Been missing you guys at NBC and the CW and all that, so I feel like I need to really focus on that. That's really the priority, so I want to do well in the booth and maybe I'll get back in this thing. I'm sure I'll miss it and probably end up signing up for something in 26.
While Dale's focus may have shifted from full-time racing to other pursuits, his love for the sport is still as strong as ever. He's found other ways to stay involved, whether it's through his work with Junior Motorsports or his passion for late model racing. Dale has always loved driving, and that sure hadn't changed. He may not be competing in the Cup Series as much as he used to, but he still enjoys getting behind the wheel of a late model car and racing at grassroots tracks.
I love driving that late model stock car, and I love grassroots, and I love being in that atmosphere. I would encourage anybody that hasn't been visiting their local track to go check it out. It is fun. It is the true love and passion for motorsports is alive and well at the local short track, especially if you find yourself an opportunity to be involved with a team or helping someone that's racing or driving yourself. So I want to focus as much that if I'm prioritizing driving, I prioritize racing my late model over driving that Xfinity car. For me, that's a selfish thing, whatever. But I want to drive that car more. And if giving up an Xfinity race gets me another late model race, I'm gonna do that if I can, right? But if somebody walked in here tomorrow, the phone rang and said, "Hey, we want Dale to drive an Xfinity race, and we'll sponsor one of the other 4 cars for a package deal, 5 or 10 races," we're doing that. We are doing that. That is going to check the box. And I'm back at the racetrack in the Xfinity car. But until that happens, I'm going to mess with this late model stock car.
As Dale prepares for his race at Bristol, he's focused on enjoying the experience. He's not worried about the results, and he's not feeling the same pressure that he might have felt earlier in his career. Instead, he's approaching the race with a sense of gratitude. He's thankful for the opportunity to race, and he's looking forward to every lap. For Dale, racing is still a passion. But it's also a reminder of all the memories and experiences that have shaped his life. Whether he's waxing cars as a kid or competing in the Xfinity Series as an adult, the track will also be a place where he feels at home. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has mentioned taking a break from racing in 2025 to focus on his work as a broadcaster. He said that broadcasting and his family will be his main priorities, but he did hint that he might return to racing in 2026. He talked about how much he enjoys certain tracks like Kansas and said that it would be fun to race there. He loves racing close to the wall, which is why he went to Homestead, Miami in the past. Although he's just talking about possibilities, he's still thinking about racing. In the Bristol race, Dale started in 13th place, but by the end of the first stage, he was in 19th. He improved in the second stage and finished 9th. Despite all the difficulties, he said he enjoyed every moment of that race. It was his first NASCAR race since October of 2023 when he raced at Homestead, Miami. He said he loved every lap and got exactly what he wanted from the experience. He also said he would miss racing next year, but hinted that he might sign up for another race in the future. Now, before you leave, make sure to comment down your thoughts on this, and while you're down there, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well.